Hey everybody, Muta here, and I just wanted to make it as clear as possible. This podcast is not over because of Nux and his situation currently. Ladies and gentlemen, a couple days ago at this point, I was on a podcast, or not a podcast, but I was on a live stream with a creator known as Chud Logic, and I wasn't exactly clear as to the ending of the podcast, which really is an ending. Let me be more clear with you. The timing of this is actually purely coincidental, like you see on all those disclaimers for any movie or television show you're watching, or video game that you're playing. No, in reality, what actually happened is me and Caleb, we have our own kind of thing over here that, ultimately, behind the scenes, the podcast and rather the ownership of it and the structure of it is something that we're actually working on again. I actually went out and flew out about a week and a half ago with Caleb, and we filmed a lot of IRL stuff, and we kind of had our own sort of idea as to what the podcast should really be. If you haven't noticed, the weekly podcast, some of the episodes might have been a little bit phoned in. There was a lot of rambling, so me and Caleb and Nux have basically decided that it's better to restructure the podcast, basically have ownership ourselves, and to the point of actually making a set, so we do more IRL stuff. So a lot of it is really set on, building a set. I'm flying down to Texas more often, hopefully down the road, to be filming IRL and doing the podcast with Caleb, more so like you would see with typical like IRL style podcasts where you can actually do the hosts on camera sitting next to each other, and one where we don't necessarily even need to have a guest like every week, try to figure out how to get Nux on the entire show, being the fact that he lives in an NFT land and an NFT world, so to get him onto the actual podcast is another challenge itself. So it's really something where we're taking some time to stop the podcast, restructure, and possibly rebrand it and get the ownership directly under all three of us, which is something we didn't necessarily have with the Some Ordinary podcast. So I hope that clears things up. The timing was purely coincidental, and obviously I would love to work with Nux and Caleb again and get this podcast more structured in a way that we really want to push out, especially with the quality that we imagine and, just the style that we want to bring. So hopefully that cleared things up, and I'm going to leave it right back to my friend Nux.